It's Thursday, November 19th. Welcome aboard to this edition of Barnstable Today. I'm Kevin Friel.
And I'm Len Gobeil.
We'd like to remind you right at the top that the meetings we cover are available on demand at the town's website. You can find them at www.town.barnstable.ma.us.
Tonight, the Barnstable Town Council will hold their meeting. And we're going to have two new people tonight at the Town Council meeting. They are
Deborah Dagwan from Hyannis and John Norman from Marston's Mills.
And we had a number of people who are re-elected. You had a chance to catch up with Tom Lynch recently to talk about what's going on at tonight's Town Council meeting. Let's look at that interview.
Okay, so we're talking about the November 19th meeting of the Barnstable Town Council. We're here with Tom Lynch. And Tom, this is the first meeting of some new members, and it's the next meeting for those who are already on the board. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Prior to the meeting at 6:30, there'll be a swearing-in ceremony for those members who were re-elected in the November elections, and Janet Jochum, Tom Rugo, Jan Barton, and Fred Chirigotis, who all will be coming back for another term. And then we have two new members, Deb Dagwan from Hyannis and John Norman from Marston's Mills. So that'll take place, and that's always a kind of a festive time with the families there. And then they'll sit and begin their deliberations, and we'll be off to a new session.
They'll be determining who's the president and vice president?
I believe at this meeting, at some point in time, there will be nominations for the president and the vice president. I think they get put off till the following meeting for actual confirmation.
Okay. All right, let's move into a part of the budget now. The agenda now.
Yep.
And let's talk about the tax classification workshop. This is something that comes up every year. Why don't you just lay it all out?
Well, Jeff Rudziak will be looking to explain to the members through a workshop how the tax classification system works. And that's a system under which you decide the amount you'll be taxing businesses versus the amount you'll be putting onto the residential tax rate. So he'll explain how all that levy gets put together, what the responsibility and vote is of the members. Later on in the agenda then, under new business, to be referred to a public hearing in the first meeting, December 3rd, will be the tax levy vote, and that'll be on there. So it's a little complicated as people go through it, but the older members who have been there for a while, it's always good for a refresher, and it's always confusing to all, but the new members will learn about the system, and they'll be taking a vote in a couple of weeks.
Okay, great. Speaking of old business, let's jump right in there.
Sure.
We have some community preservation money. We've talked about it before. You said that it's down in Katuitt, is that right?
Yeah, well, I understand that there may be an executive session to talk about both of a couple of the items that have community preservation funds, because they involve contracts and leases and such. But one is related to a conservation restriction, if you will, that would take place down in Katuitt around a affordable housing development down there, and the other is the purchasing of a life tenancy. So the members may meet an executive session to thrash through some of the details of that, come back into a regular session, debate it openly, and then take a vote then.
Okay, great. Now let's talk about the airport a little bit. They have a couple of items on here. Could you tell us about those items?
Yes, the airport manager, Bud Brialt, will be here to look about trying to get acceptance from a grant that would take care of a new tower that they need, and that's over $3 million. And then they also, because there have been changes in the design and whatever of the new terminal that's a ways away, there are some monies that they're looking to expend for redesigning. Every time things change, they need to go back to their engineers and architects, and so there's some funding for that.
Okay, let's jump right in. Now, there are a couple grants that are here spread out, a couple different groups that are trying to accept some grants.
Yeah.
One from the Arts Foundation, For $1,750.
That's an easy one in terms of, improving the Javier Ansema.
What about this Federal Aviation Authority airspace mapping?
That's an interesting one because we have tried to site wind turbines in town, and some of them are right at the water pollution control facility, and you think you're operating under one set of rules in terms of height, and then along comes the FAA and says, oh no, you can't, you do 186 feet, you have to drop that down to 120 feet or some other number. And so what we're trying to do is work with the airport, try to get a mapping to tell us where we can put structures that wouldn't interfere with the landing, operation of the airport. And that way, if there's a water tower or a cell tower or a wind turbine, we're not constantly going back and saying, getting their permission. We kind of know that these are areas to stay out of. So that would be a study that would be done in conjunction with the town and the airport. I think also, although it's not on the agenda, there's a budget policy that we've been talking about at other town council meetings, and they want to put that formally on the agenda as a late file so that could be debated on the next meeting, the December 3rd meeting, so that we can begin preparing our budget under a set rules, so we know whether we're going to, what the reserves will look like, what the sharing will be with the school and municipal budget. So that's an important item that's coming up also.
I believe there's just one more item on here. It's the...
Well, the Section 18 is an interesting one. It's referred to a public hearing, as will most of these be, so there won't be a lot of discussion. Perhaps we'll talk about it in a couple of weeks. Section 18 is one where that a lot of towns have adopted, where retirees from the municipal government would be required to go on Medicare upon reaching age 65 rather than staying on the town-sponsored health care system. And I think they'll be there. Some feel that, well, maybe we're losing the benefit if we go that route. What most retirees have found, I think, is that they actually save money by going on the Medicare system, and there are intermediaries like Blue Cross and Tufts and others that service that Medicare system. So we'll have that debate, and the councils can look at that and see what they think.
Okay, I'm sorry, but the last one that I tried to mention a second ago was a community preservation fund, another one of those. Yes,
there's a $350,000 grant that the Housing Authority is proposing, I believe, a 12-unit development out on Stagecoach Road in Centerville, and they've applied for some money for that, and they've been granted by the CPC, and the town council has to approve that.
Great, Tom. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
It'll be a busy meeting, and we'll see where we go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Once again, we want to thank Tom Lynch for giving us all that valuable information about tonight's town council meeting.
That meeting is taking place at 7 o'clock right here in the Town Hall hearing room. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Barnstable Today. I'm Kevin Friel.
And I'm Len Gobeil.